Hello, BookTube. I was shirtless Skyping with Aaron Facer last night, and he was a little bit slurry. I think he'd probably had too many martinis. And he said, dude, it's been a long time since you gave us a bag update. And I thought, you know, just this one time, he's right. The reason that Aaron would be thinking about it is because Aaron initiated years ago a thing called Bag Tuesday instead of Tag Tuesday, where you take us on a tour of your bag, the satchel or whatever that you use on a regular basis. A lot of you leave the house. I'm told that this is done by people, that they leave the house and they take a bag with them. Uh, Aaron actually took us through two of his, and as a result, I did as well. But my own Bag Tuesday videos, as does everything else on this channel, rapidly took on the dimensions of a seamy psychodrama because I had a shoulder bag that died, or it didn't die, but it was ready to die. The fabric of the front of the bag, onto which the shoulder strap attached with a sewn patch, was almost see through. It was wearing out. At any time, that strap was going to snap off. And of course, it wasn't a latch or a buckle or anything like that. If it had snapped off, it would have been ruined. There wouldn't have been any way to use the bag, even to get its contents back home. And I knew perfectly well that if I pushed that, if I just let it go, that strap would break when I had 50 pounds of books in that bag and was 50 miles from home. It would break in the worst possible time. So it was time to get a new bag, to break in, to discover a new bag. And that required moving furniture and going into the closet and little book room, hauling all of the shoulder bags in there, out of there, and going through them as candidates one after one. And that was a long and tedious process. There were a number of videos on the subject. I don't know if I don't hashtag my videos. I don't have playlists. I'll try to find Tag Tuesday videos to put down below so that you can get the horrifying context. Uh, and I was trying each of these and giving back field reports, and they had their flaws. Each had their flaws. The number one overriding flaw is always that the bag is too small. Because although I don't leave very often, when I do, I accumulate books like lint. I accumulate 50 or 60 pounds of books. And that's what the bag's for. It's not for a svelte laptop and maybe a cup of chai latte. It's for 50 or 60 pounds of books. So it has to be able to do that. That's actually why I was worried about the first bag, the dying bag, because it wouldn't be a gradual thing. I would put 50 or 60 pounds of books in that thing, and that would be the weight that would tear the strap off the bag. So that was number one consideration for all of these candidates that I was trying out, but also a few others. Does it have convenient side pockets, for instance, including one that I can reach without opening the bag? You know, just stick your hand down right away to reach for your subway pass or whatever. Also, will the bag close over the top if it's full of books? A bag that closes with a zipper will not. Obviously, if it's full of 60 pounds of books, you're not going to be able to zipper it closed. And that's just going to leave it open to the rain or to prying eyes or whatnot. So it needs a big flap to go over the top. Uh, but also comfort and even aesthetics. I tried each of those bags and I wasn't all that happy with any of them. And then, as random chance would have it, I was in a thrift shop just about 5 minutes from my front door. I was at a thrift shop and came across a bag, a big ornate leather bag, whose dimensions I really liked. It needed to be fixed. It needed to be Frankenstein. Almost every bag that you get at a thrift store, of course, I'm not buying any of these things new. I'm paying $5 for them at a thrift store. Almost any bag that you find in a thrift store, you have to look past the bag that you're actually seeing. You have to look at its outward structure and what you can do with it. If you Frankenstein it into the dimensions and the functionality that is exactly what you want. So I found a heavy leather bag at a thrift shop that was full of gewgaws and gimcracks, full of all the stuff that I don't want in a bag. These things are $5, and I'm pretty handy with a switchblade, so I'm not going to worry about it. If I, for instance, misjudged the superstructure of the bag, and I've been doing this so long that I don't anymore, but if I did, well, then chuck it and wait until you see another one. They're a dime a dozen, and some of them are really good. So I Frankensteined the bag. I didn't film myself doing most of the Frankenstein because I didn't want to cut my fingers off by accident by being distracted. But I made it into this. I made it into a shoulder bag that really does work. Now this is not. This is the bag, and this is not the original strap that went along. This is one of the nice things about this. One of the nice features about it is that the strap is not part of the bag. It's just this riveted metal loop that is part of the bag. So any shoulder strap will work. And I've got a ton of bags, so I got a ton of shoulder straps. The one that came with this was uncomfortable. It pinched the shoulder. So I wanted something cloth and a little bit lighter. This works just fine. And this bag has an outdoor flap, which you do want, a flap outside the bag even when it's closed. This one's a little odd. I've never seen anything like it. It is it is open on the bottom and on the top, and it zips on the side. And that puzzled me for a long time until a few of you wrote to me and gave me the obvious answer. I should have thought of it myself, which is that this is for when you're traveling with this bag. You put this on a luggage cart. You hook it onto a luggage cart, or maybe even onto the back of the airline seat in front of you. That makes perfect sense. I hadn't thought of that. And this outside flap, this outside pocket is where I keep my Brattle tote bags. Tote bags are invaluable because sometimes I don't get 50 pounds of books. Sometimes I get 100 pounds of books. In which case, even the best bag in the world is not going to be able to fit them. So they need to go in a tote bag. But this also, I don't know if you're going to be able to see here. Well, you're definitely going to be able to see because that's the whole point of this video for Bag Tuesday. When you open this up, originally this had, see here? That ridge was originally a partition that ran along the inside of the bag. There's the inside zippered pocket. And then the outside pockets I was talking about are these two things. Nice and deep, so nothing's going to fall out of these things by accident. So the one right here is for the billfold, which is Velcro. Steve loves Velcro. That's going to become germane later in the video. And also down below here are do-rags for when it is the typical Boston weather. It's mind-numbingly cold and incredibly windy right now, and it has been forever. But the normal Boston temperature is 80 degrees Fahrenheit with 80 or 90% humidity, tropical humidity. That is the normal Boston weather. That is Boston weather 10 months out of the year. So a rag to mop me fetid brow is a great help. That's in one of these front pockets. And then in the other one is a Kindle. Because in addition to the 50 or 60 books that I get and put in the bag, it's always nice to have 5,000 books in the bag. And Kindles never need recharging, almost never need recharging. But every once in a blue moon, I see that the thing needs a charge. Charge it overnight, it's fine for another million years before it needs charging again. So, but that is the essential drama of this thing, is that I needed to get rid of this. I needed to get rid of that. It goes all the way down. It has a ridge all the way along the bottom, comes all the way up the other side. And I had to get rid of that. The way that you do that with a bag, when you're Frankensteining a bag, is to empty the bag of everything and then evulse it. You need to pull it inside out. It is a recipe for frustration to try to cut. You need scissors or a knife to cut this thing out and to cut it as level with the bag as possible. And it is a recipe for frustration if you try to do that down into the bag. The key is to empty the bag out and then pull it all outside so that you're working on it in the clear light of day. And then you just stuff the bag right side in again. So that was the number one Frankenstein thing that I needed to do here. And the number two Frankenstein thing that I needed to do, a common thing with bags, I've noticed it in so many of them. And before I started carving these things up to make them what I want, I never noticed them at all, is that bags are often full of foam. They're often full of foam rubber, a foam sheeting. I guess to give them form, I don't really understand that. This one there was foam sheeting all along the back of here. And I had to go, when I had the bag evulsed, when I had it inverted, what you do is, I can't really show it to you here, but what you do is you make a small nick, use a knife or scissors to make a small nick in this fabric, then reach your finger into that nick, grab onto the single piece of foam that's in there and just sort of pull it all out. No one can see the nick, and all of a sudden you've got a ton more flexibility. So I had to do that. I had to carve out this internal divider because I'm never going to need that. This is going to be full of books. And then I had to get rid of that foam to make this even more flexible. That was what I did to Frankenstein this bag, and oh my, did it work. Oh my, did it work. This bag has been a miracle. Just a miracle. In terms of how much it will fit. Oh God, it's endless. So you might think if that were true, that I wouldn't have any interest in Bag Tuesday, that this would just be a bag update. I would tell you, we Frankenstein this bag 2 years ago. It is still working fine. And that's it. That's the end of the story. But it's not the end of the story. It's not the end of the story. Because I have noticed, it's a small thing, but I've noticed that this big, heavy leather bag gets heavy in the summer. And as I mentioned, Boston has intensely hot, unbelievably humid summer weather 10 months out of 12. So that's no small thing. This thing, carrying around a heavy leather bag in that kind of weather, wasn't always pleasing, I have to say. I love the bag, but I would notice that from time to time. When we were having any of our cheat waves, for instance, we had 10 of them in the last 10 months here in Boston, where a heat wave is technically 3 consecutive days where the temperature at Logan Airport is 90 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. And a cheat wave is when you don't get to call it a heat wave, when you have 10 days that peak at 89 degrees. So it's much worse than a heat wave, but you don't get even the satisfaction of saying, oh, what a heat wave. So the other day, I was out thrift shopping with my house guest, David Murphy, and we were at a thrift shop. We were having a wonderful time, and I saw a bag. Now, I don't just grab bags willy-nilly. I have developed a sense, an instantaneous sense from a great distance, of what might have a chance of being Frankenstein. Some of them are useless. There's no way you're going to be able to do it. Some of them are just plain too small. You can just look at them and see that. This one, though, a lot of my initial instincts were good. And Aaron Facer wants a Bag Tuesday video, or maybe more than one. This is the bag. It is light as a feather. It is not heavy leather. It's plastic. And it has Velcro. It closes by Velcro. It does not have the superiority of a riveted loop that the strap can go on. The strap is sewn onto the bag. Now that can be a weakness, a great weakness, because if you overdo this, like for instance here, look, that's what I'm talking about. That is just stitched onto the bag. Two layers of stitching, one on one side, one on the other. See? Just standard double stitching there. Which means that if this rips here or here, there's nowhere for me to put a new strap, and so the bag is useless. So that's a thing to caution for. It's less of a caution than it might have been once upon a time, because I don't go out as often as I once did. Once upon a time, I would probably have ruled this out merely for that. But that looks pretty strong to me. You never know. You never know. I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to Frankenstein this bag, and we'll see. So what do we need to do if we're Frankensteining this? So first of all, the outside pouch for this thing, which can be mighty handy. That outside pouch can be mighty handy. More Velcro, but it is not open at the bottom. It's just part of this bag. That's all. The normal kind. It has a sewn cloth handle on the top. That can sometimes be good for positioning. Of course, I don't ever carry it that way. And then for the front, we have the Velcro. And we have the owner's name, Kyle Easton. Kyle, are you watching? If you're watching, please let me know. And then we have the inside of the bag. Now, this is going to be where the Frankensteining is going to happen. I don't think I'm going to show you the Frankensteining. I think I'll show you, this is the before, I think I'll show you the after video. So once you lift up the flap, and again, that's a good thing. The flap covers the entire bag, so even when stretched out with books, they won't be open to the elements. But then on the inside, we have a zippered pocket. Instead of the 2 pouches of the leather bag, we have this thing, which I would obviously leave open. So this would be where, for instance, the subway pass would go. And you've got these little pockets here, which are for maybe credit cards or pens and pencils. So you can see right away that this is going to require a change in the ergonomics, in the setup of the shoulder bag. Right now, the 2 outside pockets of my shoulder bag are wallet and an e-reader. But this is only one, and I don't know that they're both going to fit in there. I will give it a try. So that's what you have for the outside there, outside the bag, and then on the inside you see right away, ground zero for Frankensteining. It has a middle partition. So that has to go. So this bag is empty. What I will do is reach all the way down to the bottom here, reach all the way down to the bottom of the bag and pull the whole thing inside out so that I have freedom to maneuver, so that I can arrange what I want. But while I see it's got this Velcro thing to hold that thing in place, all that has to go. This all has to be open to the in one space in here. And once it is that, this expands quite a bit. Almost as much space, I think, as the leather bag, maybe more. But when I was doing that, when I was fiddling around with this middle partition, I felt right away, I can't make you feel it, but there is foam right here. There's this whole backing is a piece of foam covered by this. So what I need to do is pull this thing inside out, nick the bottom down there, and pull that whole piece of foam out. I don't need it to give this bag shape, and it is restricting the expandability of the bag. It is restricting that. I think that might be the only foam. There's one there. No, that's it. Yeah, there's just one. That might be the only one. So I would just need to do that. And then maybe this would be my bag. Ordinarily, I would think about using a switchblade to prick out the stitches for this thing and get rid of it. This is Burton Durable Goods from Burlington, Vermont. But I think it's kind of nice. I kind of like it. I kind of like all the aesthetic designs of this thing. So I'll probably keep them all. And maybe this will be my summer bag. Maybe. So there is your Bag Tuesday. I have shown you the old bag, which is still the current bag. I have shown you this new candidate, and I have shown you what I intend to do to it to fix it. So next Tuesday, I will show you the results. I will Frankenstein this thing, and then I will show you the results, because I know you're interested. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Remember, I know how tedious this video was, but don't blame me. Blame Aaron Facer. So I'll wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.